Hey guys, it's Big Bry, no holds barred. This week I'm back with another scatter shooting type episode of fun and excitement. But no, I have a few thoughts for you today that I want to share and I want you to listen. And I'm going to be a little passionate, but that's just because that's who I am. You got to deal with it. We're going to talk about a few things today. Number one, we're going to talk about critical mistakes that I think investors and speculators in cards are making. I think it's a mistake so crucial that you have no business investing or speculating in cards until you've heard what I have to say, you heed the warning, you think about what I'm going to say, and apply it to your everyday buying and selling, whatever you do. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to come down on the breakers again. If you don't know who breakers are, I'll get into all that, but it's the people who break product on streaming platforms, on eBay, whatever it is. The people who are breaking, especially repacks, I got a problem and I got to share it. I just can't take it anymore. And lastly, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to say a cute story, but it's a freaking awesome story about my run-in with one of the greatest athletes of all time. And it's a memory I'll never forget. Wow, that was a memory. But anyway, we'll get into topic number one. Hi, this is Brian Gray, but everybody calls me Big Brian. I don't know what kind of person you are in the industry. I don't know if you're a collector. I don't know if you're a dealer, an investor, a speculator. This conversation, to the largest extent, goes to investors and speculators, and a little bit to dealers. But to investors and speculators mainly, I guess most of those guys are now dealers. What's the difference? There's hardly any line in this thing anymore. I think these guys in the industry who are not collectors, if you're a collector, you buy a card, you hold that card, you collect it, you love it, you look at it, whatever it is you do as a collector, whatever gets you excited. You sort them in order, you play with them, whatever you do. I don't know. You flip them against the wall, you put them on display by your fireplace or on your desk. That's all awesome. Not talking to collectors. Collectors, buy what you're buying, hold it forever, love it, enjoy it. If you ever change your mind, sell it and buy something new. Or change what you collect every so often just to keep it spicy. You know what they say. You've been around for a while. It's kind of like being married. Sometimes you got to spice it up a little bit. So you'll do that if you're a collector. But if you're an investor or a speculator, heed my warning. I'm going to tell you something you are probably doing extremely wrong, or you're just not thinking about it. When I set up at shows, I set up to buy cards for repackers and those kind of things, and for myself, whatever it is. And I hear some things all the time. I hear things like, I paid much more for that. I paid more for that. I guess I have to keep it. I hear things like, he's going to come back this year. He's going to be great this year. I hear all kinds of different reasons why people don't want to sell. Then a lot of people just sell, no doubt about it. And, some people never sell anything. They just, out of principle, they just hold everything. They buy things and only hold it. Never sell it. And I think about how the hobby's evolved since I've been in it. I started doing shows in 1987, 1988. And back in the old days, when you walked up to a table to sell a card, they would offer you half or less of what it was worth. So if a card was worth $100, they'd offer you $50. That's just how it worked. People never ever thought about paying $60 or $70 or $80. They paid $50. Because cards, while they were really good, they were liquid still, but you know what I'm saying? It's just not like today. It was just like dealers were used to doubling their money on everything they bought. So when you invested or speculated, which I actually did back then, I remember buying Bird Magic rookie cards for $10 at First Base, the store owned by Dr. Beckett. He'll tell you the story. I'd go in there every day and buy them for $5 to $10 a card. Then they raised them to $15. They raised them to $20. I just kept buying them because it was too cheap, and I knew it. I knew that card someday should be $100 or $200. What do you know? It's $1,000 or more today. It's $100,000 and a 9, and it's a $1,000,000 and a 10. Who knows? But who knew that was going to happen? I kind of had a vision it would happen, so I was buying these cards. Not to rant. I already have. But the vision here was I would buy these things, and I'd have to hold them because the fact is, the dealer, if I went back the next day to sell them that card I bought for $5, they'd offer $250. So I'd have to hold it, or I would lose money every time I bought something. So it was a different world. You did have to buy and hold things until they went up dramatically, and then you could sell them. The world's changed. In the last 30 years, look what's happened. The repacks, while they have some issues with them, they are critical to the card economy. If you go to a show now, it's not uncommon to see signs from dealers saying paying 80, 90%, whatever it is. Where they will pay you 80 to 90% of the last eBay sold price on most anything. If it's half decent at all, they'll buy it. And so we're in a very different world now. So like cards don't have to go up that much for you to make money now. Because if you buy a card for 100 and it goes to 150, even at 90%, you're making 35% on your money because you're getting 90% of 150. But in the old days, that card had to go to 200 for you to break even. So it was a very different world. Now, here's the issue I have, and where I think investors and speculators are making the most crucial error of their entire process. I don't think they're thinking this through properly. I think you have really a couple of choices, a few choices really. You can either buy cards and you believe so much that you're going to keep buying them because you know, like I knew that Bird Johnson was too cheap, or I knew that a Michael Jordan rookie card shouldn't be $35, or I knew a Nolan Ryan rookie shouldn't be $100. I knew those things. You either know and you keep buying them. You just buy. You may buy one and stop, but most of the time you just keep buying those assets because you know they're good. How many guys have you seen at a show that have 10 Michael Jordan rookies or 10 Pat Mahomes rookies or whatever it is? Because they know that these cards have upside. They know, they believe, and so they buy. Now, I think the problem we have is, in a liquid market, we a lot of times don't know when to sell. And what will happen is like guys will come to the table and say, oh, I paid $100 for that. I can't sell it for $60 because the last one sold for $70. And I'm offering him $60. And he won't sell it because the last one sold for $70. I'll just have to hold it until it comes back. First of all, this stuff never comes back. So first thing I'll tell you is, when you say I'm not going to sell it for $60 because it's going to come back, you just made a crucial mistake because you just bought the card for $60. Now let me fix it. You're saying, no, I bought it for $100. No, you bought it again that day for $60. Because when you didn't take the $60 in cash, you basically bought it all over again for $60. So if you weren't willing to buy more at $60, you probably shouldn't have held the one at $60. You probably should have sold it. This is, again, not for collectors who are saying, like, well, I don't really care if I overpaid because it's a cool card. No, this is for people who are investing or speculating, who are hoping to make money buying or selling cards. This is, and again, I'm not saying it's good to invest or speculate. I'm just saying that's what most people in the market do now, a majority, or investors and speculators. You just bought that card for $60. The next time you come see me when it's worth $50 and I offered you $45 or $40, you're going to say, oh, I paid $100. I can't sell it. But you just bought it for $40 again. Never mind the fact you could have sold it for $60, or you probably could have sold it for $80 or $100 closer to when you bought it, when you realized you messed up the first time and didn't want to take a small loss. Those small losses almost always become bigger losses. Over time, almost every time you buy something and it goes down, almost every time it keeps going down. Because the great assets, while they do have little setbacks, they're merely little setbacks. I remember when Michael Jordan rookies went up to $30,000 for the first time in PSA 10s. They had the New Jersey National in Atlantic City. We were all freaking out. And the next week they dropped $10,000 to $20,000 after the show. And everyone was in a lather and a panic. Those are worth $200,000 now. And at one point they were worth $800,000. So like, again, when they were at 30, if you didn't sell it, you basically bought it for 30. And that's what I'm trying to get people to think about is, why aren't you buying more of some of these things you really believe in? Or why aren't you selling those things that you act like you believe in but you really don't? I'm going to tell you now that 98% of card investors and speculators should be selling 75 to 80% of their cards today. Because at 90% liquidity, if you can sell your cards for 90% of the last sell, why would you want to hold anything unless it is super grail, irreplaceable at any price? Unless you'd be willing to buy more at those prices. And that's where I think we make a big mistake. We forget that when we don't sell, we're buying it over again. And when we don't buy something we're thinking about buying, we're thinking about selling at that price. So again, if you want to buy an Elway rookie in a PSA 9, they're $350, $400. And you walk up to the dealer and says $350. And you say, oh, that's too high, I don't want to buy it. You're basically saying, if I owned one, I would sell it for $350. Because I don't think it's a good buy at that. So me with my gold kabooms and green kabooms from Panini, I speculate on these very big. Every time I don't buy one, I'm basically saying I'm going to sell one at that price because I could have bought it and I did not think it was the right price. I thought it was too high. I should be selling. So what all this rant really means, and the simple mistake we make is, we should either be buying Or we should be selling, or we should be doing both. But the one thing I don't think we should be doing, generally, as an investor or speculator, is holding things for long periods of time, unless it is truly one of a kind, grail, impossible to find. And let me tell you what, your downtowns, your uptowns, your case hit explosives, your Skeens autographed rookies, whatever they are, most of them are not grail, irreplaceable assets. 99% of the things people are speculating or investing on are replaceable. Sell your Josh Allen True RPA from National Treasure, you can buy another one. It's not hard. Sell your LeBron Logo Man, you will never have another one. Sell your Kobe Exquisite Limited Logos from 2006, that's worth $50,000, you'll never have another one probably. Those assets are like my green and gold kabooms, fine, you hold those. Because they're irreplaceable assets, they're numbered, they're ultra limited, there's a long-term monster upside. But I'm going to leave you with on this topic, when you're investing or speculating, I'm going to tell you to buy as big as you can. Buy the best Mahomes card you can afford. Try not to buy that $1, $2, $3, $4, $500 rookie if you can afford the $1,000 one. And don't buy the $1,000 one if you can afford the $5,000. Because over time, the assets that trail off and tend to never come back, if any do, they're those lower price assets. So if you're an investor speculator, I'm going to urge you to go high end, buy the best you can buy, and try to focus on the grails. If you're investing in Acuna, I used to invest in Topps Update Acunas in big quantity. Horrible investment, one of the worst I ever made. But you know why? Because I bought ultra low end cards and bought tons of them. I don't need that crap. I need to be buying the best of the best, and you should too. So I'm going to urge you to say today, let me look at what I'm investing and speculating in. Let me wash my hands and move on from 90% of this crap. Because 90% of the stuff I'm investing and speculating in is just dead wrong. Either I'm speculating on bad players and bad situations, I'm praying that Anthony Richardson is something and he's just not, but I paid too much, I've been holding him. You should already sold those. If you're still holding him, you should have your head examined. Now, if you believe that he's going to come back and you really believe it, and you're not just saying that to fool yourself, which most of you are trying to fool yourself into thinking you're not dumb for holding him. But if you're smart enough to, and you really believe this guy's good, then you know what? Sell some of your other stuff and go buy more. Because if you're not willing to buy more, I'm willing to bet you really don't believe. You're just fooling yourself. That's a big mistake. We'll talk about this more in another episode, but I wanted to just now tell you, because we're coming up to the National, we're coming up to the Dallas show, the Nashville show. This is your chance to sell everything in sight, and you should be doing it. You should be selling into this strength right now. I know at the National, I'm trying to buy $5 million worth of slabs and factory encased cards. I need those at the National. No better time to sell than now. I'll pay 85, 90%. You come find me, Big Brother Deal Guy, I'll pay 85, 90%. Take advantage of this liquidity. Because 90% of the stuff you're holding, they just aren't investments. They are pure speculation and probably bad speculation. Put it into the repack ecosystem and let it get spread out to people who are just playing the repack game. Focus on real core, incredible assets. And if you come up to me at the show, I'll give you ideas of some of those assets. In a future episode, I'll probably give you some more assets that I think are the kind of things that are really worth buying and holding. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the show. If you look at the show notes, you'll find all my social media, and boy, I can be outlandish there too. Click right now, follow me, watch, and let's have fun together all the time, not just once a week. And don't forget, have a happy and safe 4th. Another thing that's been on my mind lately, and it's driving me freaking bananas. If you know me, you know that I like to buy into the breaks like anybody else. It's fun, it's fun. It's fun. It's like a little bit of a gamble. It's fun. We have fun, whatever. But what's not fun is everything is going so high end now. These break spots and some of these breaks they're not $100 or $200 anymore. They're $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. I was in a break the other night that was $9,000 a spot they were going for. The big chase was $100,000, which I hit it. $90,000 to $100,000 Shea Gilgis. I hit the card. So you can hit the cards, no doubt about it. If you were in that stream on We the Hobby, it was fun. These breaks are getting so ultra high end. But I gotta give the breakers a little lesson here. As a customer, and as the guy who really invented the modern repack, I'll take credit for that because I did in 2009 with Razor, which became Leaf. I invented the modern repack, 1 card per pack, buybacks, and a slab, whatever. I'm not self-promoting, I'm just telling you how it is. But back in the day, when breaks were $100, $200, it was just like you didn't really, if you didn't hit, it was okay. But on these big multi-$1,000 hits, it matters more. And the problem we have is these breakers, and you've heard them, they're my friends, and they shout out, "Oh my God, the Lakers are on the board. The Cavaliers are on the board. Michael Jordan's on the board. Ohtani. The Patriots and Tom Brady, they're on the board. You gotta pay. And they'll tell you why you gotta bid more and more and more, because these great big monsters, the Chiefs with Pat Mahomes are available. How are you not paying $5,000 a spot for this? And they sit there and they rant and they rave how you gotta pay. The big teams are available. And the break will have, let's say, 16 boxes that are between $1,000 and $50,000 each. Like, that's a big break. 16 boxes means half the teams are going to hit. So, of course, you want to chase the big teams, right? You want to go chase the Chiefs and the Rams and the Browns and the Niners and these teams that have monster hits that in 1,000 and 50,000, they're the guys. The Chargers with SGA, the Clippers, and Ohtani with the Dodgers, they have huge stuff. But here's the thing. I've been watching these breaks, and I've been in some of these breaks, and they're breakneck brutal. I was in a break the other day where I had the Cavaliers with LeBron, and I had the Niners that has Steph Curry. It's got Brock Purdy and those guys, but it's also got like Jackie Robinson, Ohtani Dodgers. It's a loaded team. Loaded, the Chargers and SGA and all those guys. I was in a big break. This was like $2,000 to $50,000 a pack, a card. So like in a 16-box break or 12-box break, like those teams are going to hit almost every time because they're the best teams, right? They whiffed. Lost all my money. Got nothing. They're going to send me base cards. And like I said last week, we're going to put them in timeout for that because they're going to be stupid and send me base cards and not care about my business. But I think they're doing this wrong. Speaking to the breakers, I think you're doing this wrong. So listen carefully. You're going to school, and I'm not charging you any tuition for this one. You have a 16-box break. Am I wrong in thinking that the right way to build that is to have 10 best teams pretty much you're hitting every time? Because you're not PYTing or pick your teeing them, you're doing random. So if you're going to sit there and sell the hell out of these top 10 teams, they don't have to hit the biggest hit, but they got to hit almost every time, the top 10. And those other 6 boxes should be teams that are wild cards. They can be anything. They can literally be the Colts. They can be the Titans with Ja. They could be any team. So that when you have lesser teams, you still got a shot. But when you spend $9,000 or $4,000 to get the fucking Rams, you know you're going to get. You may lose money because the card you may pull may be $2,000, but at least you know that when you hit the great teams and you chase and spend tons of money, that you're going to get something. And I think the breakers who build these products are doing it all wrong. Right now, there's no hit or miss. I've seen breaks that are that big that have no Kobe, Jordan, or LeBron. And I'm like, how the fuck can you make a break that big that does not have Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron? Are you out of your fucking mind? $100,000 break with none of the 3 GOATs of basketball in it? Are you nuts? Meanwhile, the fucking Raiders hit with Brock Bowers, and that's fine, but someone only paid $500 for that piece of garbage. The Colts somehow hit with a new Halliburton flawless card that's worth $700, and no one gives a fuck about that team because it's sold for $300 because it's a piece of trash. The big buyers spent the big money going for the big teams. And the breakers, the guys who build these repacks for the breakers, gave zero shits and gave zero thought into making sure that the guys who are spending the big money are being protected. The fact is, these breaks will be over tomorrow if 25 or 30 guys say we're done with this shit. So you better start taking care of those 25, 30 guys and making sure that the best teams, if they're spending big money to chase them, that they hit. And the guys who aren't spending big money but are just buying one spot, and to them it is big money, when they hit a big team, they have to have actually won by hitting the big team. What sucks is these guys who save up and save up and save up to buy one spot in a monster break that's so over their head, but they really want to be in at one time. And then they get the Rams and they're like, oh yes, I finally got it. Ohtani, Trout, LeBron, Kobe, I got it finally. And then it whiffs. And you're like, what in the actual fuck? I saved up, I fought to get this incredible team, and they whiff. Yes, there's going to be times these teams whiff. And I think in these smaller breaks that are repacks, fine, let these big teams whiff sometimes. But in these big fucking monsters, the big teams got to hit. I don't care. Breakers, wake up. You're going to lose your customers. The big dogs are going to say enough is enough eventually if you keep screaming, the Lakers, the Rams, the this, the that, and these teams don't fucking hit. I don't hear you ranting and raving, oh, the Panthers, the Colts, the shit teams, the Cardinals, the Saints. You know why? Because they should not have a very high hit rate. They should hit very, very small amounts, if ever, but they have to hit sometimes. You can't sell things that don't hit ever. But ever should be very rare. That's why the spots go for 200 instead of 9,000. But the reality is, we have to change this now if we want to keep these customers coming back. And the breakers aren't doing it on their own. So Daddy is here to say, quit being stupid. Pull your heads out of your asses. Think about the customer, like the base cards last week. Hopefully some of you listen. Think this week. We've got to rethink how we build these repack breaks so that if we're going to sit here and yell about the great teams and how great the board is, that we're actually going to make those teams hit more often than not. By the way, as a side note, I'm going to say one other thing on this topic just while we're ranting and raving, because I love ranting and raving about the breaks and the things I see that need to change. On a side note, I think generally the breakers need to wake up. And I'm not going to compare this to a casino. People always argue it's repacks gambling. I don't want to get into that. What I will say is, any major high-end retailer has a loyalty type program. And even if it's not a formal program, it's a program where if you buy Rolexes from your Rolex dealer, and not just the hot new ones, but other ones, and you have your watches serviced here and you're there all the time, when new hot watches come out, you're the guy who gets them. Not the guys who just stroll in to get the one hot item. These guys buying into your breaks for substantial amounts of money, beyond giving them something like instead of base cards, because you're screwing them when you send them base cards. Besides that, you better think about customer retention. Because while I'm not going to call breaking gambling, that's a debate for another time. If your customers are buying into your breaks and you don't think about it like a casino host thinks about his clients, they give you stays, they give you concert tickets, they give you food, they give you all kinds of stuff, free play, whatever, coupons, whatever. They give you all these things for coming into the casino. And again, we're not going to compare it to gambling. I'm just saying these guys know how to retain a customer. The casino's edge on a slot machine is 2 to 8%. So if you spend $100, they're going to make $2 to $8, and they're going to give you all this stuff. Meanwhile, here, the edge is massive, 20%. That's what you lose between whatnot fees and everything else by the time that's if they break even. And guess what? They're giving you nothing. If you're a big buyer, it's time to start not asking for it. Asking was long ago. It's time to demand that they treat you like the customer you are. And guess what? You may not even be a whale on the apps, but you may be just a good, solid customer. I think it's time for the good, solid customers to start asking. And who knows, someday they may need you so bad that you might even be able to demand. Anyway, enough rant on that topic. Guys, I wanted to end today's episode with a story. It's one of my favorite stories in the whole history of the time I've been in this business. I've been doing this for really, 37, oh geez Louise. 37 years I've been doing shows and in the business as a dealer. Are you out of your mind? The average kid at a show now carrying his Pelican case with all his cards is like 18. Hustling around with his hat backward like in gold chains, acting like he invented the fucking trading card business. Oh boy, do I have some memories. I shared one in week 1 with King Richard, and boy, was that a set of memories or not. But today I want to share a fun story. There was an athlete who I loved who had not signed autographs for 20 years. Charles Barkley. The round mound rebound. You know, he's so cute, Barkley. Everyone loves him. He's just a personality. Him and Shaq are my favorite personalities. They're just big personalities. But anyway, Barkley was a guy who had not signed autographs. And if you know me from my old era at Leaf, no one, and I mean no one, I'll take that challenge any day of the week, no one could get the impossible guy to sign like I could. Can you disagree? I got Britney Spears to sign. I got Harrison Ford to sign. I got the fucking Rock to sign. Ichiro had quit signing cards. I brought him back. Patrick Ewing had quit signing cards. I brought him back. I did not care. I could get people to sign you like, holy crap. Actually, even recently, Pat Mahomes had not signed for 2 years, and I got him to sign for Wild Card. Now he signs for Leaf, and now he's going to sign for Panini, but he was out of the signing business, and I helped bring him back. So I'm good at this. Well, Barkley was my guy. I wanted Barkley so bad. Well, Barkley every year plays the Lake Tahoe golf tournament. It was Jordan's golf tournament, Lake Tahoe. So I was like, okay. I knew my buddy over at Octagon. He was a super sharp guy. He was there, and he was like, Brian, let's try to get you with Barkley. Let's try to get you to talk to Barkley. So he takes me over, introduces me to Hank Haney, who was a famous golfer who was in the group with Barkley. And we walked up to Barkley when they're warming up, and he said, hey, Charles, this is Brian. Brian, this is Charles. And he's like, hey, Brian, how you doing? Because that's what Barkley says. He said, hey, Brian, how you doing? And I said, fine, fine. He goes, well, we're going to walk the golf course today. You can walk with us. I mean, listen, if you've seen me, you know I'm not the picture of fitness. Me walking the golf course 18 holes is like I might as well have just jumped up and tried to touch the moon. I had about the same chance of making it. So anyway, I walked the whole course with Barkley, and man, my legs were dead. And I was even more fit back then. My legs were dead. I was so tired. So I walked the course with Barkley all day. He's out there hacking. Terrible golfer. He's just like the ball goes every which direction. I mean, it's almost like Marty Feldman from Monty Python's. His eyes were all over his head. You couldn't tell where he's looking. His eyes are going everywhere. That's how Barkley's ball was going. He'd hit it, just go. I'm surprised it didn't go backward. He didn't hit one backward that I saw, but dang, I mean, that guy was terrible. Not his fault. He's just terrible. So anyway, we walked the course. He is like limping around. It's tough on him. I mean, he's a big old boy. Trust me, I know. I thought he was limping. I looked like the hunchback in Notre Dame the way I was dragging my ass around that golf course. So anyway, we walked the course all day. We finished, and he's sweating like a sinner in church. I mean, he is sweating. Between the two of us, we could have filled like 3 buckets full of like raw sweat. We could have sold it for a lot of money, at least his. But anyway, we had 3 buckets of sweat going there. And Barkley's like, Braun, I'm tired, but if you come to the high limit blackjack room tonight, we'll talk some more. So I'm like, okay, fine, no problem, Charles. Bad impersonation, I know, but it gets better. Trust me, I've mastered the one coming up later. So anyway, I go to the high limit blackjack room. Charles is sitting at the table, and he's playing like $10,000 to $20,000 a hand. Well, if you saw me back in the day, I'd wheel around like a little briefcase that always had money in it, because I'd go around trying to buy and sell stuff. I always wanted to have money, so I brought with me $250,000 in cash to the golf course, because my goal was to get Charles to sign a contract for Leaf to get autographs, and I would give him $250,000 in green cash as the first payment right then. So I'm watching Charles play blackjack. He's betting $10,000 to $20,000 a hand, and that dealer, it was like the dealer on Vegas vacation. Charles could not win. He's losing every hand. Lose 10,000, win 2,000, lose 10,000, lose 20,000, win 10, lose 30, win 10. And next thing you know, Charles is down like $200,000 or $250,000. So James, his bodyguard, was right there. Like everybody did a bodyguard, but his assistant / bodyguard, whatever, was right there. So I look over at James, who I'd met earlier, and I said, hey, James, if Charles wants this cash in the bag, I've got $250,000 in my bag. James said, what the He's in this bag, you have $250,000. I said, yes, in this bag, I have $250,000 in green cash. If Charles wants to look at that contract now, and if he'll sign, I'll just take the money and put it on the table, or I'll go buy him chips and bring him $250,000 in chips. He's down $200,000 or $250,000, so I can solve his losses in a snap. So he goes over to Charles, whispers in his ear, Brian, $250,000. So anyway, Charles looks back at me. He says, 1 sec. Holds up his finger, says, 1 sec. So James said, oh, just give him a second. He just wants to focus for a minute. This motherfucker went on a run. He could not lose. The guy could not lose. He won every hand for like 5 minutes, just on. Next thing you know, he's up $150,000. You call me fucking rabbit's foot, because this guy was a lucky charm to this guy. He's up $150,000. So he gets up from the table, stretches, says, you know, bro, I'm tired. Let's talk on the course tomorrow. Oh, God, I was defeated. Never mind. My feet are still hurt. I'm standing there like a schmeckle. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, oh, my God. He just said meet him at the golf course. I can do this again tomorrow? It took an act of God for me to make it through the course on day one. So I go back the next day. You know the routine. I walk around with Charles. I look like the hunchback in Notre Dame. He's swinging the golf club like he's never seen a golf ball before. The guy's limping around like me. Makes Milo, I make him look like an Olympic sprinter the way I'm limping around. I'm limping worse. Walk the whole course. End of the day, what do you think he says? Hey, Braun, I'm tired. Why don't you come to the high limit blackjack room tonight? I said, okay, fine. Ugh. Go to the high limit blackjack room. Watch Charles go through the same exact routine. Next thing you know, he's down $200,000 again. So I say, James. I'm so desperate. My legs are hurting so bad I can't take it. I just walked the course like the Hunchback in Notre Dame. I'm like, Notre Dame. I said, James, please. Tell Charles I've got the $250,000 right here. If he'll just sign, please, James. I'll put the money on the table and it's over. I won't have to deal with you guys anymore. Y'all can have fun without me dragging around everywhere. So he goes up. You know the routine. Whispers in Charles' ear. Hey, Brian, it's $250,000. Just sign and you get the money. He'll bring chips. Does all that crap. Charles looks back at me and says, 1 second. Oh, God, the fucking rabbit's foot that he must have stuck in his ear. He won't need Q-tips for a month because that rabbit foot he stuck in Charles' ear right there paid off again. Charles is up $200,000 literally in 5 minutes. I don't know what to do. I'm dying here. I'm like, if I can't get Charles to sign when he's losing $200,000, what am I going to do? So Charles said, Brian, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get a bite to eat in the VIP room if you just want it. I sound like Forrest Gump. That's a terrible impersonation. But he said, I'm going to the VIP room. You want to wait around? I'll talk to you in a little bit. So anyway, he goes into the VIP room, which is in the high-limit slot area. He's eating or whatever they have in there. So I say, screw it. I'm just going to play some high-limit slots for a few minutes. I'm playing slots. Then I finish playing slots for a little bit. I'm just waiting for Charles to come out. But I'm thinking to myself, man, I got $250,000 in this bag. I got to get this guy to sign. So anyway, I bend over and I look in my bag and I'm opening it. I'm counting the money to make sure the money's in there. But I'm doing it low-key. I don't want anyone to see. And the next thing you know, coming up from behind me, bam! I got popped right in my ass. It hurt so bad, I swear to God, a freight train ran into my ass and I knew not what to do. I turn around and it's the round mound of spank and rebound. And he looks at me and he says quite simply and elegantly, Brian, you can't bend over in a casino like that. And while I wanted to laugh, I wanted to cry. It hurt so bad. My legs are killing me. I've been dragging around like the Hunchback in Notre Dame. Now my ass hurts, and I still haven't signed Charles Barkley, but it's funny because he spanked me. But it's not because I haven't signed him. And I laughed, and I didn't. And then went back to the high-limit room. He played for a minute, said he wanted to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, God, is this guy ever going to come back? And I hear over the intercom. And I hear Charles start rapping on the hotel intercom. He's gone up to the entertainment stage out in the casino and just started rapping in the middle of the fucking casino. I'm sitting in the high-limit room with James. We look at each other like, what the hell? Charles is out there. He just walked up on the stage where some lady was singing and took the microphone and started rapping. And I'm like, oh, my legs are killing me. I've been dragging like the Hunchback in Notre Dame. My butt hurts. He just spanked the shit out of me. That was funny, though. But it still hurt really bad. I haven't got my contract signed. I got $250,000 in the bag. And the next thing you know, I see Charles going up the elevator. Never to be seen again that golf tournament. I came out the next day. Charles had already started the round before I got there. I saw him as he left, and he said, hey, I'm so sorry it didn't work out here. I'll catch you as soon as we get back. And then I think I heard he was going through a divorce or something. I never heard back from Charles. Never heard back. And a year later, Panini signed him to an exclusive deal. 1 year later, Panini signed him to an exclusive deal for millions of dollars. And I just laughed because I was like, man, what I went through to try to get this man to sign. I walked 36 holes of a golf course, which I swear will never happen again. I don't even want to take 36 steps to the kitchen to heat up a piece of pizza when I'm hungry. Never mind 36 holes at a golf course and miles of walking. Never fucking again will that happen. I watched the man go up and down 200,000. All that was exciting. Hearing the man rap was pretty exciting. And you know what? I even got Michael Jordan to sign an autograph for me on the trip. That's pretty cool. I got him in person. But you know what? That's a side note. But none of those things were as exciting as bending over, having the round mound of rebound spank the shit out of me, and say as elegantly as he does, Brian, you can't bend over in a casino like that. And that voice, the impersonation was a lot better then. That impersonation, those words will never leave my mind. Brian, you can't bend over in a casino like that. And guess what? I've never bent over in a casino like that since then. And I also will never forget that day while Charles Barkley spanked me. I once told that story to someone from ESPN. And they were like, we're going to put that on the front page of ESPN. That's a great story. He said, but we're going to have to call Charles to verify it. I said, great, go for it. Because I'm sure people make up stories like this all the time. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, it was on the front page of ESPN. Just a fun story about how Charles spanked the shit out of me. Because, Brian, you shouldn't have been over at a casino like that. Guys, another fun week visiting with you. I hope you enjoyed the story. But more importantly, breakers, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. And investors and speculators, I hope you enjoyed a new way to think about what you're doing. Because every time you don't sell a card, you are buying the card all over again. And if you really believe like you say you do, wouldn't you buy more? Or maybe you're fooling yourself. Guys, I can't wait for next week. Until then, have fun out there. And hey, maybe I'll see you at a local show. And if I do, come give Big Bri a hug. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.